Welcome in everybody to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zack Brown, and joining with me, as always, is former 410 Sprint Car crew chief and mechanic, my dad Jeff Brown. Had a week off. We're back at it. A lot to go over. Really going to focus on what just happened at Pocono. I might do a quick rant on Chicago and preview. And finally, we are back at it. The Brickyard 400 is finally back. I don't really know what to expect. We'll kind of preview that as well, go over some IndyCar, NHRA, and the Kings Royal is this week. So it's Eldora weekend, sprint car racing, so a lot to go over. Dad, let's kind of go over Pocono. Ryan Blaney gets a big win. They kind of foreshadowed it when they were talking throughout the race, how it's one of his better tracks. It's where he got his first win. And it was, I thought it was going to be all Toyotas in the front the entire time, but Fords were actually every single manufacturer was up battling for contention, and a lot of strategy was part of the game in this one. And Ryan Blaney was able to prevail. Denny Hamlin gets second, so probably the two arguably best active drivers right now at Pocono get one and two. And Alex Bowman after winning at Chicago gets a third place finish, and then William Byron's up there. So a lot of contenders in that race, and the restarts were actually the most exciting part, as they always are.
Yeah, you get those restarts. They're going three, four, five wide down that real long front stretch, and then they have to funnel into turn one there. That's pretty cool always to see. Midway through the race, it kind of got boring when they were out to a 5, 6 second lead. Unfortunately, that's sort of
Typical Pocono.
a product of those big flat tracks, and I think we might see a little more of that this weekend, similar as well. But we'll see. But yeah, the restarts there at the end that made it very interesting, and it's like people were going to run out of fuel or whatever and wonder if there's going to be rain.
It's surprising there was not. It was probably the
For
first
Pocono,
I've
that's
ever.
unreal.
It's probably the first time I've seen two back-to-back Pocono races, Xfinity and Cup, not have any type of rain delay or something. It was actually a really nice day out there. They said it was pretty hot, not as hot as a couple weeks ago in Nashville, but still a pretty warm day up there. Decent race though. I mean, as good as you're probably going to get out of Pocono. I mean, there haven't been traditionally amazing races at Pocono. They usually get kind of spread out like we saw. And I think the interesting thing is you see how the strategies play out, how you want to, and it was really fuel strategy. The tires weren't a big fall off. The right sides kind of were, but it was, and this was also the Xfinity race too. Uh, Tires were a little bit of an advantage for Cole Custer at the end. He was also the fastest car probably at the end, regardless. And he ends up beating Allgaier. That guy, that poor guy. He just he
Hey, at
can't.
least Justin Allgaier didn't crash.
Yeah, and then Sheldon Creed had another shot to get his first time win. Still can't get that. But yeah, I think Pocono was decent. These cars race better on the bigger tracks than the smaller tracks. Obviously, I don't know what NASCAR is going to do. There is some news I'll talk about in a little bit about what they're shaking up for Richmond coming up in a little over a month. But yeah, so you get Cole Custer gets the first win for Ford in Xfinity for the year, which is pretty crazy. Ford hasn't won this year in the
Yeah, being
Xfinity
he was the
series.
point leader.
Yeah, he's just been consistent, just hasn't broken
Yeah.
through with a win. Now he got a win. You might see him break off a few wins. I mean, he's probably once again the championship favorite, and he's probably, I would say, fairly easily going to make it into the top four.
I think so.
And then getting into, we'll kind of transition sort of going into Indianapolis. It's a similar track as Pocono, similar turns. Xfinity's racing there as well. They usually, I don't know if Xfinity has really raced at the big track before. They might have before they went into the whatever configuration they had
Yeah,
before.
they may have. It wasn't much because they normally ran at IRP.
Yeah, because that's what the Truck Series racing this week. They're running at IRP, whatever you want to call it, Lucas Oil Speedway, whatever it is
Yeah,
now.
it's back to Indianapolis Raceway Park now, so I guess nobody's sponsoring it. So
Yeah, well, that's what we called it anyway, so it makes it easy enough. Well, I guess before we go into talking about Indianapolis, I guess a couple weeks ago we didn't have a show last week, so quick recap on Chicago. Alex Bowman plays an advantage on getting strategy at Chicago, and this is the product of how stupid NASCAR is because they knew what rain was coming, and they've never moved up the start time of the race. They could
Yeah,
have
I
moved
don't
it
know
up
why
to
it was even scheduled to be that late. That was just
they could have moved it up an hour. Probably an hour would have sufficed. At 3:30, they probably would have got the whole race in. And everybody was complaining like, "Well, are these not rain tires or something?" Like they're wet weather tires, and it was pouring, and like you couldn't see. It was one of those
yeah,
where it was kind of
those
like coated
those
that
cars are
confused
really
you.
heavy for that. It's not
Yeah,
like a real light Indy car with tons of downforce.
yeah, and then you see Larson hit the hell out of the tire wall, and a lot of actually cars did.
Yeah, he
He
just
was
hit the brakes and there was none there. He just went right into
Yeah,
it.
screwed that up. But Bowman, I don't know if he's ever gotten a road course win, and he got a big win, and he obviously was hilarious in his post-race interview, saying he's going to drink a lot of bourbon and probably black out in the bathroom again. And I saw the interview last week on Junior's podcast, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm on day two of a hangover, so that's how that's going." Because they had Monday morning meetings, and Junior was like, "How did that go?" He's like, "I mean, I was there." So, I mean, Alex Bowman's that after that, he has all the momentum right now. He finished third at Pocono after that win at Chicago.
Yeah, he's been running very well.
Yeah, one that doesn't really seem to in the Xfinity Series, Gisbergen gets 3 for 3 of the three road courses they've had in Xfinity, but then he can't transition into a decent finish at an oval or
No, not at
triangle, if you
all.
will. But yeah, he just I don't know what it is, but I mean he's locked into the playoffs, so if they once they go to Charlotte Roval, he's probably gonna be a favorite there. And I don't know if there's any other road courses in the playoffs. I don't think there are, but
I don't believe so.
that was a quick Chicago recap. NASCAR stupid. Basically, that's the highlight of that. So they were being dumb about all their decisions with all that. All right, moving on, like we always do. Let's give our power rankings heading into Indianapolis. It's been a couple weeks, so it's like, how do we want to really do this? So I'll go ahead and give my five. I've shaken it up from a couple weeks ago, and it's kind of basically see how consistent people are and how much they're wrecking or having some bad luck. So at number five, I think he was one of my top two a couple weeks ago, but not the best finishes the last few weeks. So I've got Chase Elliott at number five. Number four, I've got the guy that's got all the momentum right now. I put him up back into my power rankings. Alex Bowman's number four. Ryan Blaney, I have him at number three, the winner at Pocono. He moved up from five. I got Kyle Larson back down to number two. And number one, I've got Denny Hamlin. I think he's going to start going on a run right now. Well, even though they're going to be off for a month, but I think you'll see him kind of shine heading into the playoffs.
Okay, on mine, I wanted to put Alex Bowman in there somewhere. I just couldn't figure out who should bump out. So Alex Bowman would be my six. So at five, the last time we did it, I had Christopher Bell at number one. I dropped him down to number five this week. He's still consistent, but maybe just off a tick. Kyle Larson goes down to number four. I actually moved Chase Elliott up to number three. Uh, he had a lot of trouble getting in the back at Pocono, and he was about the only person that could really pass in traffic. That car looked good. Number two, I moved him up. I have Ryan Blaney at number two. And number one, he's definitely been the most consistent the last month or so, Denny Hamlin.
And little trivia. I actually got it pulled up over here. Let me pull it over here. I had it pulled up. Which manufacturer in NASCAR has the most wins at the Indianapolis Oval?
I'm going to say Ford.
No, it's actually Chevrolet.
Is it? Okay.
Yep, and Hendrick Motorsports is actually the winningest. And of
Oh, yeah.
course,
Well, Gordon and Johnson won a
yep,
crap ton of them. I forgot about that. Didn't
Jeff
even think
Gordon
about
getting
that.
obviously the inaugural win, and it was 94, I believe, was the inaugural
I
one.
believe so.
Yep. Yeah, 30 years. That's right. And actually, the news this week, Rick Hendrick will be the pace car driver as
I did
celebrating
see
30
that.
years. So that's pretty cool. I guess that's fitting that they have him there. And a couple news before we get into everything else. For Richard Childress Racing, the Xfinity Series, nope. No, but the Cup Series. Richard Childress Racing, his other grandson, Ty Dillon, is going to race in the 33 car at the track. So probably because he can't get a ride anywhere else.
Yeah, the rumor has it that Austin Dillon's on his way out.
And who are they going to replace him with?
Yeah, I don't know. Their cars are just not fast. If Kyle Busch runs, a solid 30th all the freaking time,
Yeah, that's
so,
well, I think
he
Kyle
may
Busch is
not
just
be
fed
the
up with it.
fastest as he used to be, but he still ain't that bad.
Well, I think Kyle Busch is also fed up with it. He's like, this is ridiculous. Like, we should not be this bad. And he had his sarcastic ass interview after the race. You never know where you're going to get with Kyle Busch after he got
Yeah.
wrecked by Corey LaJoy. So he kept his composure, I guess, sort of. Kind of knew he was, yeah, it's a typical Kyle Busch interview. Uh, I'm kind of excited to see what the Brickyard's going to bring with this next generation car. And they've never had the next generation car. I think you'll see a similar race as Pocono. So you might see a lot of the notes that they bring from that race into this. Strategy is going to be a big thing. Fuel mileage is going to be huge. I don't think tire wear is going to be too bad. We saw Indy in person, and that track is really, really smooth. I don't know how
Yeah.
the tire wear will be on these heavier cars. I don't think it's going to be that significant. I don't think you'll see it like what was it in 2012 or something, where every single
They run 10 laps and
yeah,
they
it was brutal. It was terrible, and they were just it was unsafe. Really, I don't think you'll see that. I think they can go maybe 40 laps on fuel. It's a humongous track, so
well, I mean, I think it's going to be very similar to Pocono. Same size track, same amount of laps.
yeah,
I mean, Pocono's its own animal with the three distinct corners, but so they're going to be using the same amount of fuel. I think you're going to see a lot of guys bring their Pocono car right back for this race.
I think Larson actually has his paint scheme from Charlotte. It's going to be
The the orange
the
and
one
blue
you're
one,
wearing. Yeah,
yeah, which he didn't actually get to run. So
yeah. So that'll be cool. He's back at it after a couple months away after racing in the Indianapolis 500. Gets to race in the Brickyard 400. Really nothing to transition from that into. I mean, there's no similarities. I think you're going to see a packed crowd as much as they're going to sell. They're not going to sell out as much as they
yeah,
did
I
at
don't think
Indianapolis
they
500.
sell the infield, the inside front stretch seats for this one,
Yeah,
but
they won't. It won't be 350,000 people, but I think you'll probably see well over 100,000. I think it's going
I
to be
would think
packed
so.
out. People have been wanting to see the Brickyard again, so you take it away and you bring it back. You get that nostalgia feeling. A lot of people want to see that.
Yeah, 30th anniversary.
Yeah, I think, and then the weather's supposed to be good because we're not there. So I think it could be a very interesting race. The restarts will be very, very interesting. There's going to be at most two lanes when on these corners. You're not going to see that's the difference with Pocono. You're not going to see a bunch of lanes, like especially like turn one
No,
and two.
they're gonna be trying it down the front stretch, but they better funnel that into the turns real quick.
Yeah, and you see that with IndyCar too. And the thing with IndyCar, you can't bump into people or you just completely crash. This, I mean, they'll still probably crash. It's a good thing the Truck Series isn't here. They probably can't afford to have that
They
many
never make
cautions.
it.
Xfinity, I think that's going to be very, very, really similar to Pocono, and it's similar cars that they've raced on a couple years ago. They should probably use a lot of their notes. I think you'll see a lot of veteran. I think in both series you'll see veteran drivers step up to the plate. I still think you're going to see Toyota in the Cup Series be the faster manufacturer. They just tend to be better on these larger tracks. But now you got Ryan Blaney just starting randomly get it going. Keselowski's got it going now. He's consistent.
Yeah,
So I mean, it does add a lot of parity in the racing. So
yeah. It seems to
that
be,
goes a long way.
Blaney's definitely the hot one from the Penske organization. That Joey Logano just really has not been
Well,
fast all
he's
year.
got a win now. So
Yeah,
you
he's
might
got to win, but he just really has not, you know, set the world on fire like you think he would
no,
be
but
up
this is
there
a
sort of
typical
every week.
Joey Logano season now. You're going to see him. He's in the playoffs now, and somehow he's going to end up in the final four because that's just how Joey Logano ends up doing. He just shines in the playoffs. That's how it won't shock me if that happens because that just he kind of flies in under the radar, and then damn, he's in the championship four. So we'll see. This should be the July 4th race, but I digress on that. I already talked about all that. Because if you want to know about America, go to Indianapolis because damn, they're in the heartland there. Um, all right, so let's get into our fantasy lineups for Indianapolis. I'll go ahead with mine. And we'll post this once again. So if you guys are following on the social media platforms, make sure you check that stuff out. We'll post the actual pictures of everything. But at my starters this week, and I'm just going ham. I don't give a damn this week. I'm trying to. We're all too
I did win
close.
last week, though. By the way,
What's that?
I did win last week. By the
Yeah,
way,
you're somehow within nine, and Mom and I are tied for the lead.
yeah,
So
I'm third, and I'm 9 points behind. So
yeah,
that's how
it's
close
it's
we are.
yeah. So it's getting tight. So I'm going with some hard hitters here. So I've got Denny Hamlin in. Again, I think it's going to be a Toyota dominant race. But I've got Alex Bowman. He's got the momentum right now. I've got William Byron. He had a solid run at Pocono. I'm kind of picking people who are good at Pocono. Can't wonder. I've got Martin Truex Jr. This is his final race for racing at the Brickyard 400, so expect him to be in contention for it. And I've got Kyle Larson because he comes back to Indy, probably wants a little bit of revenge at that track after having a stupid
Hope you don't
penalty.
speed.
Yeah. If he speeds again and it costs him a solid finish in this one, I swear. And in my garage, I got Ryan Blaney. So if something happens, I still got people rolling. I don't care. I need, I'm going heavy hitters this week. Now, the lineups this week, this is probably the most difficult feature matchups I've ever seen that we've had this year. Ryan Blaney versus Martin Truex Jr. I'm giving the edge to Toyota in this one, and I've got Martin Truex Jr. Brad Keselowski versus Alex Bowman. I've actually got Alex Bowman in this one. Momentum right now goes a long way. Chase Elliott versus Tyler Reddick. I do have Chase Elliott. He had a very impressive run at Pocono. And Joey Logano versus Ty Gibbs. I have Joey Logano. Joey Logano has that experience at the Brickyard. I'm using that to his advantage over Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs will probably still have a solid run, but I'm using a lot of experience that people, drivers that have raced here before, they're still going to more than likely shine. Go ahead with yours, and then we'll see
Mhm.
what the hot picks are.
We got some different ones this time. So in my starting lineup, I have Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, Ty Gibbs, Josh Berry, Ryan Blaney, and in the garage, in case I need him, Denny Hamlin. So I had the same strategy to do for my garage. Something happens, I got a hitter in there.
Yeah.
So our matchups are mostly different. I have Ryan Blaney over Martin Truex, Alex Bowman over Brad Keselowski, Tyler Reddick over Chase Elliott, and Ty Gibbs over Joey Logano.
All right. Well, that's how you make up ground and how you make a difference in
And it's also how
fantasy.
you lose a lot of ground.
Yeah. Hot pick this week is Denny Hamlin. He's plus 400. I guess he would probably be the favorite to win this race. Not shocking. I'm
No, not at all.
the best racer at Pocono. Probably I would almost ever. One of
Yeah.
the I think he is the winningest driver at Pocono or the second most ever. So I would expect him to race well at Indy. Hot picks Joey, and my strategy is he had the experience there before. I don't know how much of a hot pick it is. He's plus 1400. Might not be the worst idea if you wanted to bet on him. I'm not going to. It says avoid Truex. That's cool because I just have him in my lineup. I don't really agree with that because he had a good run at
So they're
Pocono.
both plus 1400, but you avoid Truex. So how do
Yeah,
they
I
come
don't
up
know.
with
I think, and it's talking about all these other numbers that last time they went to Indy. You don't look at those numbers. It's been a long time since they raced here, and
different cars?
they've never had this car here before. So, whatever their DraftKings or
Yeah.
the or Vegas is using, they're using the literally data they've had in their computers from this whole oval. It has nothing to do with what the new generation car is. So, pay attention to that if you're betting on it, people. Alex Bowman says to avoid. I don't agree with that. Momentum goes a long
Yeah,
way
because
in
he's
this
plus
sport.
2800.
Yeah, yeah.
Sleeper's Bubba Wallace at plus
He
2800.
did have a very solid. He was fast
I
at
don't
Pocono.
disagree with the Bubba Wallace being a sleeper.
If he actually started better at Pocono and not started almost last, he probably would have been in
Yeah, and
contention to
he
win it.
something happened early and he was way back, but he came up to a solid top 10.
I mean,
The
that's what
car was
strategy does.
good.
You'll see people just come out of nowhere and do this. So, all right. So, and IRP, if you want to touch on that real quick, it's the little sister track, right? A little bit of ways from the big track that the
Yeah.
Truck Series will be racing at. That and the
It's
ARCA
a
Series also racing.
yeah, I think it's I think it's a 5/8 mile. Decently banked track. You know, they used to run Thursday Night Thunder there with the asphalt sprint cars and midgets. it always puts on a good show. I kind of wish the Xfinity cars were back at IRP. That was always kind of a fun race. It's, under the lights, the trucks are Friday night. They're just going to crash all the time. That's just the worst part about the trucks.
Yeah, they'll
But
probably have more
it's a
crashes.
neat track. I wouldn't mind seeing the Cup cars run there.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like almost like a doubleheader weekend. That'd be kind of cool, something like that, and
Yeah.
or some sort of all-star type race or whatever you want to do. Maybe. You're gonna see a lot of crashes in the trucks. Is just what they seem to be doing this year. It's. I think it's the worst it's been. I don't think they've crashed
They're
this
just
much.
we're just so getting into the if daddy's got money, you can buy your way to a truck ride no matter whether you can drive or not. And these guys just cannot drive and they just freaking crash.
Yeah, and there's about five drivers that could probably win now in the truck series.
Yeah.
And all right, well, let's give our picks for all three series for the winners. At the truck series, again, one of the five that one of us probably have, we might have the same driver. So who do you have for the truck series?
For trucks, I got Corey Heim.
Okay, I've got Christian Eckes in this one. So those
So
are two of the
they
five
won the
that,
last two races. So
yeah. So it's the two that have the chance to win.
it's like Toyota or Chevy.
Xfinity, who do you have in this one?
So I'm going a little bit different on this one. I got Austin Hill.
Well,
My thought is big track. He's usually good on these type things.
well, as long as you don't pick Allgaier because you keep jinxing him.
Yeah, no, sorry, Allgaier.
I'll do that
We'll
part
get
this
to the
week.
jinxes when we get up to the sprint
Well,
car season.
I'll do that part on Allgaier. I'm jinxing him this week, but he is my pick for Xfinity. He had a shot at winning Pocono, and I think experience is going to be huge, especially in the Xfinity series for the big track and the Cup series. Who is your pick?
So I'm going really out on a limb on this one. I got Denny Hamlin for this one.
Uh,
Uh,
I I've been saying it's going to be a Toyota dominated race, but I've got a weird feeling this guy got third or fourth at Pocono, and it would be kind of fitting that the 30th anniversary of the very first race, the 24 won the first one. I've got the 24 winning the 30th anniversary. I got William Byron winning at Indianapolis.
Mom's pick is Kyle Larson.
We're all going out of limbs here right now, aren't we? All
Yeah, we
right.
all pick drivers that suck.
She's the only one that could pick Larson and not jinx him.
Yeah, I know.
That's fine then if that wants to happen. All right, let's preview Toronto. Well, IndyCar. Let's preview Toronto and kind of recap the Iowa races. New Zealanders swept the weekend in Iowa in the IndyCar series.
Penske had a very good weekend last week.
Penske's having a very good year.
Well, I mean, he won everything last weekend.
Yeah, well, in general, they're
Cup,
having a very good
Indy,
year. And so, yeah, Scott McLaughlin and then Will Power. Uh,
and the Will Power thing early, he got into. I don't remember who it was, but I thought he'd have probably had some damage on that car, like right in the beginning of that race.
and he
And like,
started 22nd or
because
something.
he
And
actually got a penalty for, if you run into somebody and they think it was avoidable contact, they'll give you a penalty. So he had a penalty, had to go. I don't know what the penalty was, drive through or to the rear. And son of a gun, I turned it back on towards the end. And I was like, oh crap, there he goes. He won.
the Sunday race was definitely better than the Saturday, which kind of shocked me. I thought Saturday night was going to be a better race. And yeah, but Sunday was fantastic race. We were talking about this would be a really, really cool race to see. The
Especially,
doubleheader.
I mean, go there for the concerts they had.
Yeah, it's a party town
Eric
apparently right there.
Church, Luke Combs was there.
Post
There's some
Malone was doing
more.
Sunday. Kelsey Ballerini was doing it. So they had
Yeah,
mentioned like,
last year was Carrie Underwood and
oh yeah,
Kenny Chesney.
they go hard. Nobody was sober. Uh, yeah,
That would be a fun race.
and we were talking about that. You go to that, and then you can go to the Sprint Car Hall of Fame, which is 40 minutes away from the track,
Yeah,
and that'd be the time to do it when not everybody's going to be at Knoxville Raceway, and you can go
right.
check that out, and then you can just go right and watch the Iowa doubleheader. I still think it would be cool to see the NASCAR and IndyCar do a doubleheader at Iowa in the same weekend. That would be pretty
That
cool. I
would
think it would
very be
bring
cool.
a really awesome crowd. But I mean, there's probably some beef between Roger Penske and NASCAR at some point. I'm sure there's something, and it's probably setting something back because you would have. Why would we want to have fun with that? So Hello has extended his lead a little bit, and it was kind of he crashed in the first nine. Then it's like, oh shoot! Then Scott Dixon started pulling in. So it really still there's about 4 or 5 drivers that can still win this championship. It's really anybody's championship to lose. It's
I think it'd be tighter if Penske didn't have that.
it'd be tighter if Scott Dixon didn't his car didn't just die last week. So it just didn't even start. So it would be a lot tighter then. But let's talk real quick about Toronto. Talk about that track. The Xfinity Series actually races at Toronto as well, either Xfinity or Truck Series, something like that. They race at
Do they
Toronto,
still do it, or they
or they
have?
did. They
Yeah,
at least did at some point.
yeah. See,
And
where's my? It is an 11 turn, 1.786 mile street course. The one thing they were talking about when they were describing it is how tight the corners are. The straightaways are really fast, and they really have to get slowed down. They say there's a lot of for IndyCar, there's a lot of beating and banging to get by. So that kind of makes it kind of exciting. You could bump wheel to wheel a little bit, but you get off, somebody's going to run over somebody's wheel and be pissed off for the rest of the day or
yeah.
season.
Um, all right. Well, let's do it real quick. Let's give our picks for IndyCar at Toronto. I'll go first on this one. I'm going out on a limb. I've got Alex Palou.
Okay. I was going to pick that, but I thought maybe you would. So I'm going to change it up a little bit. I got Pato O'Ward.
That was actually my backup. That's the Pat has been running pretty well lately.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our last asphalt racing, and then we'll get into our dirt racing real quick. NHRA is heading to the way west, North Pacific Northwest at Seattle. Well, it's not technically Seattle; it's just the outskirts of
Yeah.
Seattle.
Close enough.
But yeah, so hopefully they get a race in. I don't know how much it rains right now that time of year. I'm assuming it rains all the
It's hard to
time,
say.
but you never
It
know.
could rain.
Go ahead and your analysis of the Seattle track, or
It's like I said, that's my biggest factor is going to be the weather. Is it going to rain? It's usually humid. I think the thing's actually pretty well down in sea level. I forgot to check the the elevation of the track, but if I remember correctly, it's pretty low, so they should be making pretty good power. It's like, will the track hold up? You know, if it could be. I mean, it's one of those things. It could be overcast and cool, track be fast. If it's stinking hot, they're not going to be able to get a hold of it. So it could be. It could go either way on this one.
it'll be interesting for
But Brittany
sure.
Force is back running this week. She
Yeah,
took
after
her
being with
last
her
race
dad.
off.
Yeah, after taking care of John, and he's still recovering. But I think I hear all I hear is positive stuff coming from it, so that's always good. He's heading in the right direction. I don't know if he officially got released from the hospital. He's just
I
being
didn't
taken
hear
care
any
of.
of that, but yeah, he's definitely improving.
I did see them out and about a little bit, so that I know they were at least able to at least get him outside, and they went to like a little ice cream shop right down the street from the hospital. So at least that was good to see him out. The all four series are here, so we can get into our picks this week. Once again, I'll start it off. We both got the motorcycle one. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you always want to like, maybe it's something. No, I'm just gonna just hedge my bet. It's Gage Herrera for this one. I assume yours is no different. Uh, Pro stocks, I've got Dallas Glenn. And funny car, I've got the guy's been the fastest, most consistent in the last 5, 6 races. I've got Austin Prock. It's hard to really pick against him. And Top Fuel, another one that in Top Fuel has been pretty fast the last few weeks. I've got Doug Coletta.
Okay. We're very close. So I have Gage Herrera. I do have Erica Enders for pro stock. Sooner or later, she's bound to bounce back.
Now, if I pick,
And for the nitro classes, we're going with Team Force on this one. So I have Austin Prock and Brittany Force going to win it for her dad.
that'd be cool. That'd be very popular.
Yep, that would be.
All right, so last little bit, let's talk about Eldora week right now. High limits at Eldora tonight and
Yeah,
tomorrow. World of
67 cars
Outlaws.
tonight.
World of Outlaws has had so many races in the last couple of weeks. I can't. It's hard to keep up right now, but basically, people have been keeping up with it. It's still Donnie Scott's still keeping striking distance with the points leader, David Gravel. David Gravel cannot quite get away from Donnie Schatz. Literally the last night at
Yeah.
Attica, 1-2 finish, so not a huge jump in the points. Still anybody's championship. But it's the Kings Royal and the World of Outlaws. That's the big one. You'll probably see some Outlaws racing tonight and tomorrow in the high limit to get that a little bit of advantage and figure out how they want to approach the Kings Royal, because that is a crown jewel in the dirt racing community.
Yeah, that's definitely one. Just with the pageantry and the history of that race. It's not the biggest paying one anymore, but it's still one everybody wants to win. And 4 nights of racing. There's 67 cars tonight. I think it's going to be slick, slick, slick by
Saturday's
the
going to
time
be
they
very
get to
slick,
Saturday,
especially if we don't
which
get rain.
means those guys are going to be up on the wall.
Yeah,
That is going to be the fast way around.
and people are going to run the hell out of it. And I think it's going to be good. Eldora seems to be getting better and better each time they
Yeah.
seem to go out
Yeah,
there.
actually they changed the track. They actually made the racing better. I liked one that was more banking, but I think they definitely made
And
the
this time
racing
last year
better.
was the $1 million race that they had, and Logan Schuchart was able to be the $1 million man. He went flag to flag in that one, but and I think that you might see similar to that in the Kings Royal, the last night after 4 nights in a row at Eldora. If it doesn't have any rain or any weather, and hopefully they do a good job on the track. I think they will. Tony takes pride to make sure his track's
Yeah.
good, but you could very well see a similar situation Saturday. If you start in the front, that's your chance to get, because you might see passing might be at a premium right now. Come
It
Saturday
could
at the
be.
Kings Royal,
Yeah, the winner's probably going to come from the first 2 rows.
likely, but
But I mean, stranger things have happened.
yeah. All right, let's run down all of our picks. Let's do our two high limit picks, then give our World of Outlaw picks, because I mean, it kind of goes the same way. So it's easy analysis this week. It's all one track. So your two high limit races, who do you got for night one and night two?
So Wednesday night, which is tonight, I got Larson winning high limit tonight. Thursday, I got Sunshine Tyler Courtney.
Tonight, I've got Rico Abreu, and tomorrow night, Thursday night, I've got Corey Day.
Okay.
I won't be surprised if that kid goes in Eldora and wins a damn race this week. So.
No, not at all.
Yeah, I won't be surprised he wins the freaking Kings Royal. I didn't pick him for the Kings Royal, but it
I
won't
didn't either.
surprise me. All right, so the Kings Royal back to back. Well, the actual Kings Royal Saturday, but the 2 nights for the Kings Royal, the night I forget what they call it. There's a
Just the night
specific.
before the King's Royal, I
I think
think.
they call it the night, but it's like a KNIGHT or something.
Exactly.
Yeah. So who do you got for night one on the Outlaws?
So I got David Gravel night one, and then sorry about this one, but we're going to go with King Sheldon for the King's Royal winner, Sheldon
Keep trying to
Hobson.
get Sheldon something, and he just.
Sooner or later, he's bound to hook me up here.
Well, the night before, I've got Gio Scelzi, hot sauce for that one, and the one to get the crown on Saturday night. I went out on a limb here, and I've got David Gravel.
Okay.
I don't know if he's won the Kings Royal
I
yet.
don't think he has.
Uh,
I think he ran second a couple times.
all right, the last little bit we've got right now, we never posted anything for you guys. So a little surprise, real quick. The top 5 nicknames in all of motorsports for the last little bit of our segment. So
Yeah.
we're gonna go through it real quick and give you the best nicknames we can that people have had in their careers as
It might be
racers.
easier to give the worst nicknames because some of them are stupid.
Yeah, well, I got some good ones. So I'm going first.
Yeah, go
This could
ahead.
be really in any order. So at number 5, one of the most iconic nicknames in all of motorsports, I've got Smoke, Tony Stewart. Everybody knows who Smoke is. You say Smoke, it's Tony Stewart.
Yeah.
Number 4, I went these next two. I went into sprint car racing. This might be the coolest one. I love this one. I don't know why I think it's so cool, but I got the North Pole Nightmare Bill Baylog.
That is a
I
good one. I
I
forgot
love
about
that
that
one.
one.
Number 3, I don't know why I like this one, probably because I'm a big fan of his, but I got Young Money. I got Kyle Larson.
Okay.
And number 2, just because it's so iconic, it became an energy drink for a while, has a whole brand. I've got Rowdy, Kyle Busch. And number 1, I'll be surprised if there's anybody that can top this one. It's the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt.
I got it topped.
Yeah. All right. Well, go ahead with your list.
Well, I had 5. I had to add one, so I've got 6.
Okay.
Couple of mine are from drag racing. They had some nicknames back then. So at number 6, he was always one of my favorites growing up. TV Tommy Ivo. And the reason he called TV, he was a child TV star before drag racing.
There you go.
So at number 5, if you want a nickname, you don't even know the person's real name. This is where this one came in. He was a friend of the family's in Pennsylvania. We have Larry Smoky Snellbaker.
Oh yeah.
Nobody, I mean, he was just Smoky Snellbaker. Nobody knew his real name. Number 4, back to drag racing back in the 70s, big Chevy guy, Bill Grumpy Jenkins. Everybody knew Grump. So at number 3, we're going into sprint cars. So I got the wild child, Jack Hottenshield.
Yep, that's a good one.
Number 2, Dale Earnhardt, the Intimidator. Pretty tough. And number 1, if you think of a nickname, my first one came to my mind, Big Daddy Don Garlitz.
You know what's surprising? None of us put the King either for Steve Kinzer or.
I don't think they really his nickname.
It's just what he was. It's just that good.
Like it was like they did, Wolfgang was the Wolf, but that really wasn't his nickname.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the best one currently though, it's got to be the North Pole Nightmare.
That's cool.
That's I don't know.
Like you could put Sunshine on there. I mean,
it's all right.
That could go either way.
I do like hot sauce.
Like the Big Cat's stupid.
Hot sauce is pretty cool. I don't know why. I like that.
Hot sauce is kind of funny.
All right. Well, if you guys got a list too, send us some nicknames from drivers that maybe we didn't even mention. I always like to see what everybody thinks. And I think that does it for this week. So make sure you check out all the social media platforms. Anywhere you get this podcast, share it, follow it. Anywhere you get, make sure we keep getting audiences out here, trying to work on some more bonus content for you guys. And yeah, I think until next week, NASCAR's off for about a month, but we'll still recap everything that happens at the Brickyard this week and see how wrong we were about all of our picks. And lots of sprint car racing in these next few weeks, so we'll dive into all of that stuff. So until next week, guys, we'll see you then.
Bye, everybody.